What's up, my juicy gamers? It's Juicer here. Today is another different video for me. I'm sure everybody remembers back in high school when you used to do the scientific method. I had a thought while I was playing Starfield, and basically I thought maybe I should go back to high school and do a little science.
Yes, science!
I had a thought on like what was the quickest way to get around a planet? Would it be just sprinting or would it be running and jumping? I definitely noticed that on planets or moons that are low gravity, it was just really fun to jump around. But I just wanted to see whether or not it was quicker or it was just more fun for me. So I thought about it and I was like, how do I minimize the amount of variables in this? I reduced my mass as much as I could and I kept it constant throughout all of the tests. In a perfect world, I would just be able to change the gravity on like one plane and then I could just measure it perfectly. However, that doesn't really exist in this game. So what I did was I started out on Earth and I ran 100 meters. I timed it and I took that amount of time and I stashed it away. I then went back to the original spot that I started from. I ran 100 meters again, except this time, instead of just running it, I jumped and I jumped and I jumped every single time I landed, and I wanted to see if it was quicker. Here are the results for Earth, which is 1 gravity. It was actually 15 milliseconds slower on 1 gravity to travel that 100 meters, which was actually a little bit surprising to me. I wasn't expecting it to be that drastic of a difference, although realistically 15 milliseconds is not that big of a difference. I then looked for a planet that was 0.5 gravity just to see if it was way quicker, if it was all in my head. The planet's name is Holly, and here are the numbers. It took me 13.07 seconds to get to 100 meters on just running, and 13.04 seconds on running and jumping. So clearly there's a huge improvement there. At that point, I didn't really know whether or not this was going to be just one planet. So I then went to a planet that was 1.5 gravity. The planet that was 1.5 G was Andromas 2. It was weirdly, after doing more of the stuff, Andromas is kind of a weird outlier. I'm not really sure what happened. I think it's most likely human error, but it was only 0.05 slower to do the running and jumping on Andromas. At the point at which I had done this, I didn't know that that was going to be an outlier. However, now that I'm looking back on it, it was. This had clearly shown me at this point that when you're definitely below 1.0 gravity, it's quicker to jump to get to where you want to get to. After I'd kind of proved with the 0.5, the 1.5, and the 1 that there was something to this, I then decided to get a couple more samples from 0.1 gravity, 0.3 gravity, 0.5, 0.75, 1, 1.25, 1.5, and 1.7. And here are some of the results. As you can see, below 1 gravity, you definitely get to 100 meters quicker than you would by jumping than you would by running, which I thought was pretty cool. So I would recommend jumping for most things. However, the time at which you get to 100 meters isn't actually the limiting factor here. The amount of oxygen consumption is the actual reason that you should be jumping a lot on low gravity planets, and even sometimes on higher gravity planets. On the planets that are 0.1 gravity, 0.3, and 0.5, you will get there faster both running and because of O2 consumption. If you look on the next line of my data here, you can see that you're at 0.1 gravity. If you're sprinting, you'll get around 267 meters before your oxygen canister will run out. versus if you're running and jumping, you could just keep doing that forever. You never actually lower your oxygen level. That happens all the way through 0.5 gravity. So on any planets that are up to 0.5 gravity, maybe even probably 0.6, you can just run forever, run and jump forever, and you get there much quicker. At 0.75 gravity, you don't make it to 100 meters quicker. However, over the span of a longer oxygen tank, you'll make it around 133 meters before you run out of oxygen while just sprinting. However, you'll get to about 800 meters if you do it with jumping. So you definitely want to jump at 0.75. The next one was Earth, which is back at 0.1 G. Same thing happens here. You get to 133 meters before you run out of oxygen on regular running and 200 on jumping. Basically, on all of the things, it's better to jump until you get, I think, around 1.5 gravity. Once you hit 1.5 gravity, the speed at which you get to 100 has become so slow that it actually doesn't make up for the oxygen consumption. So I believe it's around 1.5 at which you should not be running and jumping to get to wherever you need to quicker. I thought this was really fun. I really didn't expect oxygen to be the limiting factor here. I was really expecting it to be the speed at which you got to something rather than the oxygen consumption. I hope you enjoyed this video. You may not have even thought about this, and now all of a sudden you're gonna be like, oh, I should be running and jumping on all these planets. If you did enjoy it, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.